and the ongoing global economic turmoil. Additionally, the national government should support counties lying along international boundaries in ensuring that the benefits of such natural resources benefit the host counties. For instance, benefits accruing from the Masai Mara Game Reserve in Narok County, which borders Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this early opportunity to appreciate and congratulate the Ministry of Tourism and the relevant government agencies for their successful efforts towards reviving this critical industry. It's also very important for us, the legislature, even as we oversight and critique where things might not be going as desired, that we stop for a moment and appreciate the good work which other arms of government might be doing to uplift the well-being of our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Okenyuri Esther, MP.
Let's get the next statement from the Senator for Elgeyo-Marakwet County. But you know how to raise the point of order, Senator Mohamed Faki.
Mheshimiwa Spika, taarifa aliyosoma dada yetu Senator Okinyuri ni muhimu sana kwa sababu inazungumzia masuala ya utalii. Na ni masikitiko kwamba ameizungumzia katika kanuni ya 52(1) ambayo haitatupa fursa sisi maseneta, hususan wale ambao watoka katika maeneo ambayo kuna utalii, sio kama maeneo ya Nandi ambapo hakuna utalii, ili waweze kuchangia taarifa kama hii, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo namshauri dadangu siku nyingine akiwa na mambo mazuri kama haya aweze kuyaleta kwa kanuni ambayo itatupa nafasi sisi maseneta kuweza kuchangia.
Senator Chalgei, order. Why are you standing up? Order.
Yeah?
Senator Mohamed Faki is on a point of order. You are a ranking member here. You have been here for some time. When a member is on a point of order, you cannot start saying point of order again. On a point of order. Proceed, Senator Mohamed Faki.
Wewe nasema, Mheshimiwa Speaker, wakati mwingine akileta taarifa nzuri kama hizi, inafaa ashauriwe na ofisi ya karani mkuu ili taarifa kama hizi zisiende bila kuchangiwa na maseneta wengine. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu Senator Okinyuri jana pia alisema taarifa muhimu sana.
Lakini hatukupata Senator wa Mombasa.
Yes, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Kupitia sheria ya kanuni ya moja ya Spika na nguvu fulani. No. Mimi nakupea wewe peke yako tu changie sababu uko na hamu sana kuongea mambo ya utalii.
Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza nampongeza Mheshimiwa Spika, asante kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza nampongeza dada yetu Senator Okinyuri kwa kuzungumzia swala la utalii, na kwamba utalii ni moja ya zile
Senator Mohamed Faki asikizwe bila itirafu yoyote.
Ni moja katika zile sekta za uchumi wetu ambazo zinachangia pakubwa pesa za kigeni kuingia katika nchi yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la kusikitisha ni kwamba utalii kidogo umewachwa nyuma katika zile sekta ambazo zitatakana kuchangia kufufuka kwa uchumi wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia swala moja ni kwamba wageni wanaoingia katika nchi yetu ya Kenya wengi wanakuja kupitia kwa Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Nairobi. Tulileta statement hapa, Mheshimiwa Miraji alileta statement kuhusiana na kufunguliwa kwa anga huru, ambalo ni jambo kubwa hilo, kwa sababu ukiangalia Zanzibar, nchi ya Zanzibar ambayo ina share ama ina mipaka na Mombasa ama ina mipaka na Kenya, watalii wengi wanakwenda kule. Kuna ndege karibu 17 zinazotua kule kila siku, na ndege hizi 17 zote zinaleta biashara, zinaleta watalii. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kama tutaweza kufungua anga huru kwa kaunti ya Mombasa, kaunti ya Kilifi tufunguliwe Malindi International Airport, kaunti ya Kisumu tufungue Kisumu International Airport. County ya Kwale tuenue uwanja wa Ukunda. County ya Eldoret turuhusu ndege mpya za kubeba abiria ziweze kushuka pale. Mheshimiwa Spika, uchumi wetu na utalii wetu tutaweza kuenuka pakubwa. Tukiangalia kwa mfano Mheshimiwa, sehemu za Zanzibar uchumi wake nyingi ni ufuo wa bahari. Fuo za bahari ndio uchumi wake mkubwa. Lakini sisi katika Kenya tuna fuo za bahari, tuna wanyama pori, kwa sababu kutoka Mombasa mpaka Voi mpaka Taita Taveta kwa ndugu yangu Maruma ni safari ya saa moja peke yake. Tukienda Kwale kwa Mheshimiwa Isa na Mheshimiwa Chimera, kuna kila kitu. Kuna fuo nzuri za bahari, kuna wanyama pori katika mbuga za Maluganje na kwengineko. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna kila kitu. Wale ambao wana shida za kushika nyumba kama Cherigei watapata pweza na ngisi katika eneo la Kwale ili kuamsha mishipa na aweze kujipa dawa vizuri. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, tunasema kwamba swala la utalii ni swala zuri kabisa na ni swala muhimu sana katika kaunti zetu, kwa sababu ndio njia kubwa ya kuweza kuenua uchumi wa Mombasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ndio njia kubwa ya kuweza kuenua uchumi wa pwani nzima, kwa sababu ukiangalia kutoka Lamu mpaka Shimoni kote kuna fuo za bahari ambazo zinaweza kutumia. Hata wengine walisema kwamba kuna simba wanaogelea katika eneo la Lamu. Na yote hii ni kwamba tunajaribu kujenga uchumi wetu na tuweze kuenua utalii katika eneo letu la pwani. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana kwa kunipa fursa hii kwa kuchangia taarifa ambayo imeletwa na dada yetu Seneta Okinyuri.
Sasa naona kuna maseneta kadhaa kweli, sijui kama wamechangamkia hii swala inazungumuzwa ama ni mambo mengine wako nayo. Nataka kuwapea mmoja pande hii na mwingine pande hii tumalize ndio tuweze kuendelea. So they signed. I want to give somebody who is this is Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, you had called me earlier to read my statement, but now that you have given me the opportunity...
Another member the opportunity to contribute on this.
Yes, let me thank Honorable Okunyuri Esther for bringing the statement and giving us the actual statistics on tourism in the country. Because you remember 2020, 2022, 21, the country suffered because of COVID-19. You know, everywhere was closed. The tourism went as low as zero, but at least for the last year or so, the sector has grown, and at least even some of our youth who had lost employment have gone back to work. Elgeyo-Marakwet County, Honorable Speaker, is also a great potential for tourism. We have Rimoy National Game Reserve that has not been fully utilized, and we have had discussion also with the governor of Elgeyo-Marakwet County to put up cottages, visit Masai Mara, so that they can learn on conservancy, so that we can have appropriation in aid arising from both local tourists and international tourists, Honorable Speaker. That is because, in fact, I wanted to ask Senator for Narok. People are complaining that they are queuing for more than 3 hours in the gates because of the migration of wildebeest from Tanzania to Kenya. So maybe your county, they need to do something, because those in the international and local tourists are getting frustrated because you want to visit, but you are held up for more than 5 hours while trying to go and see the big five in Narok County. So, Honorable Speaker,
Deputy Minority Leader, what is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry I have to do this. Mr. Speaker, I don't think we are doing the right thing. Under Standing Order 52, a statement that has been issued does not have a window for senators to contribute on that statement. Mr. Speaker, Standing Order number 1 is very, very clear that it only applies where there are no provisions on an issue. The Speaker 52 is clear. There is, yes, I'm just going on record, Senator Mazayo. This is a house of record. I'm just trying to say,
so
because
now that the chair uses standing order number 1,
this,
are you
standing order
challenging
number
the
1, the
chair
Speaker,
or
has
the
limitations.
Who
It has
are
limitations.
you challenging, Senator Wambua?
I'm challenging the ruling of the Speaker, because the Speaker, yes,
No,
I
you're
am.
out of
Because
order.
the Speaker,
You are out of order, says Senator Moruma.
the Speaker,
I mean Wambua.
Mr. Speaker,
Have your seat. Have your seat,
this
Senator.
is a house of record, Mr. Speaker.
Have your seat, kindly. Have your seat.
I will have my
Senator
seat,
Moruma
Speaker.
Jones Mwashushe. 2 minutes. Just give me the timing. 2 minutes for any member.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
give.
Speaker, for this opportunity to comment about this very important statement by Senator S.C. Okenyuri. You know, Mr. Speaker, that I come from Taita Taveta County, and 62% of the land of Taita Taveta County is under Savo Conservation Area. I would like to say that much as we have tourism in my county, we are not benefiting from the proceeds and collections from the Savo Conservation Area. But be it as it may, Mr. Speaker, I would like to mention 2 things. That one, there is something that you can do to support tourism in Taita Taveta County as government. That is number 1, opening up Ikanga Airstrip, Mr. Speaker. Ikanga Airstrip, Mr. Speaker, was started 20 years ago, and it is complete and still undergoing expansion. But, Mr. Speaker, it is not in use up to now. So what I would urge the government is that in support of growth of tourism in Taita Taveta County, that airstrip is made to function. Number 2, there was a stimulus program, Mr. Speaker, under the COVID-19 stimulus program, where credit of 5% was offered, Mr. Speaker. What I would urge the government is that we are not out of the woods yet. We still have the effects of COVID-19 up to now, and I would urge, Mr. Speaker, that credit, low interest credit of 5% is still advanced to people who are doing tourism. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Abdurrahman Abdullahi Milaj.
Asante, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Majority Whip?
Speaker, standing order number 101 forces me to request that the chair becomes clearer. Senator Wambua has breached standing order number 101, Mr. Speaker. But in the process of breaching it, he has raised a substantive issue that can a ruling by the chair on a matter that is already provided for under the standing order be made otherwise. So because it is a house of record, instead of just shutting the senator to sit down, we should come out of that corner so that the record reflects. There are some of us, Mr. Speaker, who agree with Senator Wambua.
Senator...
and Mr. Speaker, I am not discussing the chair.
No. You see, there are so many loopholes in these standing orders.
Yes.
And these are the issues that we really need to, because these standing orders are meant for our use. They shouldn't be as easy as possible. Why shouldn't we curtail debate because of a certain under 52-1? Why shouldn't we do that? So therefore, I remember also there is a day you brought the congratulatory message to the 2 athletes. And also the substantive, actually, the chair presenting today, I raised that issue with the speaker, that why shouldn't Senator Chagai all the time, when congratulating athletes who are Kenyans like us, he always stands under 52-1. And the speaker around us to make some comments, actually for almost 20 minutes. So this is out of precedence. I'm doing this out of precedence. Therefore, Therefore, as I said, I was to give 2 more members. I was to give you the last one from their side, and then 1 more senator from the left, my left-hand side.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kuweza kunipa fursa hii na mimi niweze kuchangia statement iliyosomwa na dadangu AC Okenyuri. Tarehe 24 mwezi wa 4 mwaka huu niliweza kusimama katika hii nyumba na nikaitisha statement kwa nini anga ya Moi International Airport ilikuwa hairuhusu ndege za kimataifa kuweza kutua moja kwa moja. Lakini nashukuru baada ya ziara ya rais wetu William Samoei Ruto kule Pwani juma lililokwisha, rais pamoja na waziri wake wa miundo msingi aliyekuwa seneta bwana Murkomen waliweza kutangaza ya kwamba wameweza kuifungua anga ya Mombasa ili utalii uweze kushamiri katika jimbo na majimbo yote ambayo yako Pwani. Dadangu AC, Mwenyezi Mungu akubariki, kwa sababu sisi wa Pwani, Bwana Spika, tunategemea sana na utalii ndio uti wa mgongo wa uchumi wa majimbo ya Pwani. Ndiposa nimeona ya kwamba tunapofika hapa sisi si wawakilishi tu wa yale maeneo tuliyotoka, bali ni wawakilishi wa taifa la Kenya, na kuona kwamba mjumbe kutoka maeneo ya Kisii anajali wananchi na raia wenzangu wa kule mfuo wa Pwani inanifariji roho na kuonyesha ya kwamba sisi kama taifa, jumla ya mapungufu yetu na mikwaruzano ya kisiasa, tunapendana. Na nipende tena kumpongeza rais wangu kwa kuweza kuifungua anga kupitia statement yangu. Na hiyo ni kumaanisha ya kwamba sisi kama bunge hatuko tu hapa kuuliza statement, bali zile statement zinafanyiwa kazi na executive, na Mwenyezi Mungu akubariki dadangu Esi. Asante.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support...
Okay, I will sympathize with the minority leader after you finish, then I give him 2
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this statement that has been raised by the distinguished Senator Esther Kunyori is a statement which you rightfully use your discretion to allow us to be able to comment on it. I think the issue here is the issue of tourism, what tourism is doing into this country, and what we can actually be able to do to be able to enhance the revenue that is coming from the tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that my brother raised a very serious concern about tourists queuing for long hours in the Mara. That is an issue that we'll go and deal with it. And I can assure you that we are making progress in terms of doing away with payment in cash to a cashless system, so that when people come in through, they can just be able to go into the Mara. It is quite clear, Mr. Speaker, that this country, this year, the revenue is projected to go up to around 430 billion out of the tourism sector. This is an upward from the previous years. In fact, if you look at the tourism in the East African region, Tanzania only has about 1 million. In Kenya today, we have almost 1.5 million tourists coming here. That means that we have things that we're doing. Now, what we need to do, Mr. Speaker, and this is a balance. We have to balance between supporting our airline, Kenya Airways, and allowing more tourists to come. I know Turkish Airline has been pleading to be allowed to fly directly to Mombasa, where they can bring in tourists from Istanbul all the way to Mombasa. That is an issue that I want to plead with the Ministry of Transport, the former distinguished senator, now Cabinet Secretary Murkomen, to at least look into that. Because when more tourists fly into Mombasa, they earn more revenue, and I'm sure they'll come inland to be able to go to Masai Mara and will get more revenue. It is important that we have these direct flights. I know that I think that one of our colleagues who spoke raised the issues of regional airports. You know, last year I was against an airport being built in the Masai Mara because, number one, it increases a lot of carbon The footprint, the carbon footprint is it will be extended. Number 2, animals will be disrupted, but building it in Narok town increases the revenue, increases activities, increases jobs in that area. So we need to balance. And I do hope that Senator Kenyuri, you can now bring that statement again using Standing Order number 53 so that we can engage the Ministry of Transport and ensure that we have that balance. Allow more airlines to fly directly from their original areas to tourist destinations. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Two minutes for the minority leader.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kitu cha kwanza nataka kumpatia kongole dada yangu Kenyuri kwa taarifa hii ambayo ameleta hapa. Bwana Spika, tunajua kwamba uchumi ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi hii, mambo ya utalii, na kwamba utalii katika thuluthu 1/3 ya asilimia ni pesa ambazo zinaletwa na uchumi wa utalii. Bwana Spika, kwanza inaleta ajira. Ukiangalia vijana wengi wameweza kupewa ajira kupitia mambo ya utalii. Lakini hivi sasa ukiangalia katika sehemu nyingi sana za Kenya, vijana wanakosa ajira kwa sababu utalii
viongozi walio wachache. Samahani kidogo, tusikie hii hoja ya nidhamu kutoka kwa Chalgei. Amesema hoja ya nidhamu kwa muda uliopita zaidi ya dakika 30.
Mheshimiwa Spika, anasimama kwa kanuni za kudumu ya bunge la Seneti 101. Nimesikia mwenzangu Senator kiongozi ya walio wachache amesema azimia. Inamaanisha nini? Kwa sababu ningependa kufuatilia ile mazungumzo. Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni bora ikiwa atafafanua, ndio saa ile kuna hoja mambo ya masuala ya utalii. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, haimaanishi pia sisi ni watalii na tunachangia utalii.
Endelea kiongozi. Issue gani nasema azimia ama asilimia? Umesema asilimia ama?
Bwana, asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, Kiswahili sengine kinakuwa na shida kwa sisi sote kuelewa. Hata pia mimi naweza kuwa najifundisha Kiswahili. Azili sikusema azilimia, nimesema asilimia. Kwa hiyo kama amenielewa, lakini sasa ikifika hapo nimemalizia. Kitu ambacho nilikuwa nataka kusema Bwana Spika ni kwamba vijana walikuwa wakipata ajira hapo zamani, lakini hivi sasa hali ya uchumi na hali ya utalii ndani ya nchi hii, tukizingatia kwamba sehemu zote za pwani mahoteli yamefungwa na vijana wamerudi nyumbani, kitu nasema ni kwamba inatakikana kuwe na mikakati bora kulingana na taarifa ya dadangu Kenyuri aliyoileta, ili iwekwe na utalii uweze kurudi. Tukiangalia upande wa pili, tunaona kwamba katika Kenya tumekuwa na utalii college na college kidogo ambazo zimekuwa zikizingatia mambo ya utalii, lakini hususan university ambayo ilikuwa imetengenezwa hapa kama ile ya Switzerland inakuwa ni ile Ronald Ngala Tourism University ambayo iko pale Vipingo. Tukiangalia hivi sasa, serikali ilianzisha huo mradi na ulikuwa mradi mzuri sana, lakini imemaliza miaka 18 kufikia hivi sasa kwa hiyo university kumalizwa. Tunataka kusema ya kwamba ikiwa hii serikali iliyoko hapo katika kwenye mamlaka sasa iweze kufanya juhudi zao zozote wanazofanya ili kuona ya kwamba ile university ya mambo ya utalii itamalizwa, ile ya Ronald Ngala University, kwa sababu itasaidia watoto wetu kutoka kila sehemu ya Kenya ambaye anataka kujifundisha taaluma, awe na taaluma ile ya mambo ya utalii. Ya mwisho Bwana Spika, tumekuwa tukisema hapa kila siku ya kwamba ma-airport yetu ni lazima tuyapatie nafasi ya kuweza kupanuliwa na kuwa makubwa na kuwa yale ya kisasa ambayo yanaweza kuchukua ndege, hatima ikitoka kama mambo ya Italy inaweza kuja straight paka kama inashuka Nandi kule, kuna airport inaangalia sehemu za utalii za Nandi. Vile vile tunasema ya kwamba Malindi International Airport mpaka hivi sasa imebaki vile vile katika miaka 10 iliyokwisha. Ikiwa inaweza kuongezwa, tunapata tourists ambao wanatoka direct kutoka Italy, ambao wanajua nyumba yao ama mahali pao pa kuishi pa utalii ndani ya Kenya ni ndani ya Malindi. Bwana Spika, tunasema lazima tuwe na mikakati pia tukiwa tunaifanya ya kuweza kuongeza mambo ya utalii. Tufikirie habari ya Malindi International Airport. Kumalizia Bwana Spika, nasema mambo ya Lamu. Lamu tumekuwa tukisema kila siku, Lamu ni nchi yetu. Lamu ni mmoja wapo ambao iko katika town ambao ni mambo ya utalii ndani ya Kenya. Ikiwa sehemu hiyo inakuwa represented na ndugu yangu Joseph hapa, anasema
umezungumza mengi mazuri sana kakangu. Kwa hivyo mpenda dakika moja tafadhali, ameomba sana. Mpenda dakika moja.
Asante. Nilikuwa nasema mambo ya Lamu Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, tunajua Lamu inapata watalii wengi. Na ikiwa inapata watalii wengi, kuna ile airport ambayo sisi sote hata tukiwa na mikutano Lamu tunaenda tunashukia. Ile airport ni ile ya Manda. Manda mpaka sasa imebaki kidogo sana ile Manda airport. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba serikali lazima izingatie ya kwamba pale panaposhuka watalii paweze kufanywa utaratibu. Na hata ukiangalia ile pale ambapo ile landing jet pia haiko mzuri sana. Na hali wewe na mimi tukienda Lamu tunashukia hapo. Inakuwa vyema kama ile serikali itazingatia kuongeza upana na kuongeza ili kila mtu awe anaweza kushuka pale akiwa na hali ya kwamba yuko sawa. Asante Bwana Spika.
Asante sana. Umesahau ile uwanja wa Ukunda pia unasumbua. Under statements under standing order 53.1, the first statement by Senator Mudigi has been deferred to the next sitting. Next is Senator Elgeyo Marakwet County, Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding payments made to all garbage collectors and sewerage service providers by all counties for the financial years 2021-22, 22-23, and the current financial year 23-24. In the statement, the committee should give a list of all registered garbage collectors and sewerage service providers for the financial years 2021-22, 22-23, and 23-24 in all counties. Second, Honorable Speaker, submit an itemized list of all payments made to each garbage collector and sewerage service provider for the 3 financial years. 3, Honorable Speaker, provide details of the allocated budgets for the garbage collection and sewerage services for all the counties for the 3 financial years. And then finally, Honorable Speaker, give a comprehensive analysis of the actual expenditure by each county on garbage collection and sewerage services for the 3 financial years. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The next statement by Nairobi City County Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on reported attempts by a private developer to grab the land occupied by Kimathi Primary School in Kamkunji constituency, which has been under the management of the defunct Nairobi City Council and subsequently the Nairobi City County Government for the past 48 years. Mr. Speaker, in the statement, the committee should, 1, establish how a private developer managed to acquire documents from the National Land Commission that allegedly grant him ownership of the land where Kimathi Primary School has been operating on for the past 48 years. Number 2, provide details on land ownership status of all the public schools in Nairobi City County, stating when a comprehensive land audit will be initiated. Number 3, state the measures taken to ensure the safety of the students, teachers and staff at Kimathi Primary School amidst this land ownership dispute? And finally, Mr. Speaker, determine if there were any illegal dealings involving public servants within the National Land Commission, Ministry of Lands and the Nairobi City County Government who might have colluded with the alleged land grabber, stating what actions, if any, to be taken against the culpable officers. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, thank you, Senator Sifuna. The next statement by Senator Jones Mwaluma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two statements. The first one is on the land transfer or land ownership and Voi Point Limited to local community in Kameny Village. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to request for a statement from the Standing Committee on Land Environment and Natural Resources regarding transfer of land under Voi Point Limited to the local community in Kameny Village in Taita Taveta County. In the statement, the committee should, one, state the progress made in reverting the ownership of land under the Voi Point Limited to the local community in Kameny Village in Taita Taveta County, stating the total land in acreage under Voi Point Limited and the total acreage of land ceded to the community so far. And two, indicate whether Voi Point Limited has plans to allow public access to the road in the said land that links Kameny Village and Mombasa Nairobi Road Highway. Second statement, Mr. Speaker, is on the rationale for instituting mandatory National Social Security Fund NSSF deductions on members of various superannuation schemes. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to the Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare concerning the rationale for instituting mandatory NSSF deductions on employees who are already members of various superannuation schemes. In the statement, the committee should, one, provide a list of all superannuation schemes currently registered in Kenya. Two, explain the legality of employees being subjected to contributing to 2 retirement plans, outlining the legal basis for the same and stating how the various superannuation schemes are managed and specifically how the workers will benefit from each scheme, particularly those who make double contributions. Two, explain the rationale behind making NSSF contributions mandatory in disregard to other superannuation schemes such as Public Service Pension Scheme, Local Authorities Provident Fund, that is LAP Fund, and the Local Authorities Pension Trust, LAP Trust, stating whether there was any stakeholder engagement and table documentary evidence of any such meetings, dates of the meeting, location and attendance registers. And finally, number 4, provide proof of remittance by employers of deductions from the employees to these retirement schemes, as well as confirmation that all deductions are up to date. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Next is Senator for Nandi County, Senator Samson Chalgei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Request for statement on concerns regarding high interest rates, high interest charged on loans offered by Momentum Credit Company Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to request a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the concerns regarding high interest charged on loans offered by Momentum Credit Company Limited. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, can I be protected from Senator Wambua? In the statement, the committee should, 1, present a comprehensive compilation of the criteria, requirements, and operational standards that microfinance companies must comply with to obtain full registration and authorization to operate by the regulator. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, find out whether the Momentum Credit Company Limited is a duly registered microfinance company operating under the regulation of Central Bank of Kenya, providing an explanation for the reasons behind the company's implementation of high interest rates charged to its customers. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, sir, shed light on the underlying factors contributing to the numerous court cases pertaining to the high interest rates charged to customers, reaching as high as 72% per annum and 70% per month. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, disclose Momentum Credit's current financial status, including details of all customers currently servicing their loans and of those who have completed their repayment obligations since the company's inception in Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, next is Senator Chimela Lafail.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for statement on payment of imams in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding payment of imams in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should, number 1, Mr. Speaker, apprise the Senate on existing legal and policy frameworks that address the payment of imams for the services they render in their capacity as religious leaders. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, state where the government plans to employ imams in the country. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, clarify where the government offers any financial support to imams in Kenya, and if so, indicate the amount extended to each imam, the frequency and status of this payment. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, recommend measures to ensure the financial well-being of imams in recognition of the invaluable contribution to the society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now we go to the statement and okay, before I clear 53.1, I can see 2 or 3 senators, at least 2, to make comments on those statements under 53.1. So, Senator Ososi Gonfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to comment on the timely statement by Senator Marua on the issue of double remittance, double contribution to pension scheme or various retirement benefit scheme. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious issue because these employees are made to contribute to NSSF. At the same time, they are contributing to various other schemes like the Public Service Pension Scheme, the Local Authority Provident Fund, and the Local Authority Pension Trust Fund, commonly referred to Lab Trust and CPF. Mr. Speaker, this matter is a matter of concern because in my committee of CPIC, one of the most common audit query is the issue of non-remittance of statutory deduction, particularly NSSF and pension. And this is one of the contributing factors. Having to pay or to be deducted to 2 different schemes is one of the challenges. So, Mr. Speaker, I expect the committee that will handle this matter, which in this case is the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to do a thorough job in ensuring that this particular challenge is handled. Mr. Speaker, I also want to report that when I made my statement as the chair of CPIC, I mentioned that counties or pensioners in excess of 80 billion shillings as a result of non-remittance of pension to LAB Fund and LAB Trust. This is a serious issue, Mr. Speaker, which our committee has been dealing with, and I'm happy to announce to the House that on Friday we have managed to partner with the National Treasury. We will be having a very serious engagement with all the stakeholders in the pension sector. That includes the COG, the Council of Governors, RBA, IGRTC, and counties to try and resolve this problem, Mr. Speaker. And I believe we are nearing resolution to this problem, and we will soon table a report to this House on this matter. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, if Senate will be able to resolve this matter of outstanding pension liabilities in the counties, this will be one of our major contributions as a Senate in this country. I support the statement by Senator Mwarua.
You know, there are many requests. I don't know whether they are under 53-1. Senator Onyonka? Hey, you see now? Senator Oburu Ondinga. Oburu Oginga.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the statement sought by my friend Senator Cherargei, my neighbor, on the microfinance institutions. Mr. Speaker, microfinance institutions used not to take deposits. And Mr. Speaker, when eventually Parliament saw it fit to introduce a bill to allow microfinance companies to take deposits, it was, it was agreed that regional microfinance institutions will put a deposit of 20 million shillings as their capital, and the national microfinance companies will put a deposit, or rather capital of 100 million, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the interest rates. Mr. Speaker, this issue of interest rates is a very serious issue. It is not only concerning the microfinance institutions. Mr. Speaker, this is concerning also the banks. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that there was a time, or even before last year, no, before the last 2 years, there was a limit which was put on the interest rates. There was a regulation which was put as of a certain percentage above the central bank rates to regulate the interest rates. But Mr. Speaker, the banks complained and they said that they wanted to lend more money to people, so they wanted to be allowed to regulate themselves, to do self-regulation, and that the central bank rate, they will not go far off the central bank rates. When the microfinance companies were allowed to take deposits, they also became under the central bank regulations. They were being regulated by the central bank. But you wonder, Mr. Speaker, when the control of the limit for interest rates was removed, once it was removed, then these people went haywire. The banks went haywire, the microfinance companies went haywire, and they are now charging far, far off the central bank rates as recommended, and they agreed to self-regulation. So, Mr. Speaker, perhaps it will be better for Parliament to reintroduce controls on these interest rates, Because when they are there, the banks complain that it is not giving them leeway to charge reasonably depending on the risks they take in lending. But now when you give them the leeway to now use reasonable rate, what really reason do the banks have to impose interest of say 24% when the CBI rate is at 11%? Mr. Speaker, that is more than 50% or 100% profit, Mr. Speaker. Who makes that kind of profit in Kenya? It is no wonder, Mr. Speaker, it is the only these financial institutions, when Kenyans are going bankrupt, they are the only ones who make money. They are the only ones who declare windfall profits when the whole economy is nosediving. Mr. Speaker, this is high time that Parliament thought of ways and means of controlling these institutions so that Kenyans can benefit. So many Kenyans are going bankrupt because of this overcharging of interest, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is a very good statement, and I support, Mr. Speaker. Let the committee do a good job. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for also summarizing in a very nice way all the statements under 53.1. Now let's go to statements under 56.1. Standing under 56.1. Chair and delegated registration. You have a committee report.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to read a statement on relating to the activities of the Select Committee on Delegated Registration for the period between April 2023 to 30th June 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee undertook the following activities. The committee held a total of 80 sittings, during which it considered the following legislative proposals. During the period under review, the committee did not consider any bills. Statements. Only one statement on review, remuneration and benefit of the state officers by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, was sought from the committee. The matter under consideration was resolved while the committee was deliberating on the statement. On the statement, Honorable Speaker, the committee did not consider any petitions. On a certain instrument, Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the following instruments. A. Draft National Building Code 2023. The committee held a retreat with the Principal Secretary, State Department of Public Works and the National Construction Authority, NCA, for pre-publication and scrutiny of the National Building Code 2023 on 15th of April 2023, on 2nd of June 2023. The committee made the comments on the draft Building Code 2023, which was transmitted to the Ministry for consideration before finalization and tabling in the Senate. B. Honorable Speaker, the committee also considered some issues to do with water regulations. The committee received a memorandum from the Agriculture Sector Networks, that is ASNET, on the impact of water regulation 2021 on the agriculture sector. ASNET declared that the Water Resources Regulation 2021 and increased the bidding charges for water by 1,000% for domestic public water supply and for the livestock watering, and 320% for increment on water for irrigation, making agricultural sector activities less rewarding in turns, and that there was no public participation when the ministry developed the same regulations. In response, Honorable Speaker, the committee invited ASNET and the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to deliberate on the issue. It emerged from the discussion that the matter was already in court and that the court had suspended the implementation of the regulations until the court made its determination on the same. It was further noted that the regulations were not tabled in the Senate. The committee recommended to the Cabinet Secretary to republish the regulations and adhere to the provision of the Statutory Instruments Act, including tabling in the Senate and engaging all the relevant stakeholders while developing the regulations. See, Honorable Speaker, the Statutory Instruments Exception from Expired Regulation 2022. The committee resolved to annul the regulations on the basis that they had been published by the Attorney General, who had no authority to publish the same as under the Statutory Instrument Act 2013. The law mandates Cabinet Secretary to make regulations under the Act. The Senate voted and resolved to annul the regulations on 4th of May 2023. The Honorable Speaker, we also consider draft Public Finance Management Act Regulation 2023. Under the proposed regulations, the national government PMF regulations is proposed to be amended to delete the debt limit set at 10 trillion and replace the same with a debt anchor of 55%. Public debt in present value terms to GDP. In addition, the Cabinet Secretary for Finance is to provide a written explanation to Parliament detailing circumstances that led to the breach of the ceiling and provide a time-bound remedial plan. It also introduced the term public debt to replace the term national debt and the county debt as enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya. The Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, expected to appear before the committee on the end of August 2023 to deliberate on the draft regulations and the implications on the sustainable public management. Honorable Speaker, the committee is also considering the crop, that is Mineral Regulation 2023. The committee is considering these regulations and is scheduled to meet with the Council of Governors and the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development on 10th of August 2023 to deliberate on the regulations. Honorable Speaker, we also have some various regulations for the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. One, we have regulations on the forest conservation and management, that is GAMS and the Issues Regulation 2023. Two, we have forest conservation and management, private forest registration regulations 2023. Three, we have an environmental management and coordination deposit bonds regulation 2023. Four, we have environmental management and coordination strategy assessment, integrated impact assessment and environmental audit regulation 2023. Five, Honorable Speaker, we have an environmental management and coordination electrical and electronic waste management regulation 2023. Six, Honorable Speaker, we have an environmental management and coordination waste tires regulation 2023. Seven, we have an environmental management and coordination plastic packaging materials control and management regulation 2023. 8, we have forest conservation and management charcoal regulation 2023. 9, Honorable Speaker, we have forest participation in sustainable forest management regulation 2023. 10, we have an environmental management and coordination of toxic hazardous chemicals and materials management regulation 2023. 11, we have sustainable waste management extended producer responsibility regulation 2023. Those are the various regulations, Honorable Speaker, that are pending for scrutiny. The capacity building of the counterparts Assemblies Committee on Delegated Registration. The committee met with the county delegated registration committees of Nyandarua and the Kilifi counties during the period under review. This was intended to provide an opportunity for the county assemblies committees to interact with the committees to enhance the capacity of the members of the assemblies to scrutinize the statutory instrument in their respective assemblies. The committee will continue to host committees from the county assemblies for these purposes. Committee observations. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has observed a worrying trend over the period under review where various cabinet secretaries would table their statutory instrument only in the National Assembly and not in the Senate as expected. To date, approximately 43 statutory instruments have been tabled in the National Assembly compared to only 3 statutory instruments tabled at the Senate over the same period. The threat is so worrying that at times, some cabinet secretaries forwarded statutory instruments dealing exclusively with devolved functions to the National Assembly and disregarding the Senate. This is a very serious threat. Recommendations, Honorable Speaker. Arising from the above, the committee recommends following interventions to address the issue. 1. The Senate leadership, Senate Business Committee and the Senate Liaison Committee to take up this matter urgently and consider inviting the Prime Cabinet Secretary to appear before the Senate to address the matter. 2. Honorable Speaker, the committee also suggests, recommends that investigation where necessary, issuance of summons to cabinet secretaries who have failed to submit statutory instruments to the Senate, bringing the attention to the role of the Senate in scrutiny of statutory instruments. 3. Honorable Speaker, the publication of the statutory instrument, that is amendment bill, that was published in the 12th Parliament to ensure clarity that all cabinet secretaries and regulation-making authorities shall submit statutory instruments to both houses of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, aside conclusion, I wish to thank your office and that of the Clerk of the Senate for the continuous support according to the committee in undertaking its work. I would wish to thank all the members of the committee for their commitment and diligence in executing the mandate during the committee activities. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is Senator Mwenda Gataya, Mofire MP, Chairperson, Select Committee on Delegated Legislation, and Senator of Tharaka County. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. The Delegated Legislation. Next statement under the same standing order by Senator Agnes Kavidu.
Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Statement relating to the activities of the ad hoc committee on the compensation of the Kenyan victims of the 1998 bombing of the United States of America Embassy in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, sir, I arise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)A to make a statement on the activities of the ad hoc committee on the compensation of the Kenyan victims of 1998 bombing of the United States of America Embassy in Nairobi for the period commencing 29th June 2023 on Monday 7th to Monday 7th August 2023. 2. Mr. Speaker, sir, within the this brief reporting period, the committee has carried out various activities pertaining to the mandate, to its mandate. As a snapshot, the committee has held a total of 6 meetings in which it transacted as the following business. A, election of the chairperson and the vice chairperson, consideration of and adoption of the committee work plan and the schedule. C, consideration of the preliminary report of the law firms in the USA that has been litigating on the compensation of the victims of the USA of the USA government. D, meeting with the victims of the bomb blast tragedy and their representatives. E, attending the bomb blast victims prayer day held on the 5th of August 2023, attending the 25th commemoratum of bomb blasts held on Monday 7th 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the above mentioned activities have been crucial, and the committee, as they have provided the invaluable insight that will enable the committee fulfill its mandate. Mr. Speaker, sir, can I read in silence because they are making a lot of noise. I cannot concentrate.
Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Give Senator Kavindu that opportunity she is seeking.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 4, Mr. Speaker, sir,
almost completing.
The committee in the near future plans to A, meet with the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs on the matters regarding Kenya's foreign policy. B, meet with the U.S. Ambassador of Kenya regarding the USA foreign policy. C, meet with the lawyers who have represented the victims in the US, meet with the National Council of People with Disabilities. E, meet with the local administrators and the security team. F, conduct the public hearings. G, visit the USA for consultative meetings with the Senate of the United States of America and amend on amendment of their laws to include Kenyan victims and consider the adoption of the report to the committee. The committee shall also undertake any other activities that may be necessary during the discharge of its mandate. I wish to appreciate the Office of the Speaker and the Senate leadership and the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the steadfast support that they have accorded the committee. Thank you, Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudhama MP, the chairperson ad hoc committee on the compensation of the Kenyan victims of the 1998 bombing of the United States of America Embassy in Nairobi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. There are two statements under 52.1 which I want to give Senator Renda Morekina to raise and 52.1. I know your problem, but let me first execute these two statements. 52.1, then I'll give very few senators indeed, maybe two to comment on the statement by Senator Agnes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to raise a statement on the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, Act 2012, and I would hope that the chairperson on labor can be able to listen to this. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, Act 2012, PSS Act. The Public Service Superannuation Guideline Handbook, published by the National Treasury and Economic Planning, in compliance with the PSS Act and the Human Resource Policies and Procedures Manual for Public Service of May 2016. Mr. Speaker, the Public Service Superannuation Scheme Act number 8 of 2012, which has been in operation since 1st of January 2021, is geared towards provisions of retirement benefits to persons employed in the public service who are defined in the Public Service Superannuation Scheme Handbook, published by the National Treasury and Economic Planning in Section 221 as contributors to the current Public Service Pension Scheme in compliance with the PSS Act. The current membership include, Mr. Speaker, civil servants, teachers employed by the Teacher Service Commission, discipline service, that is the National Police Service, prison service, and the National Youth Service, judges of the judiciary except the Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice. Mr. Speaker, the Human Resource Policies and Procedures Manual, on the other hand, provide guidelines in the management and the development of human resource capacity towards the achievement of various national goals and objectives. The manual incorporates provisions of the constitutions, labor laws, and other legislations that govern various aspects of industrial relations in the public service. The manual details various benefits to public servants that include housing, medical, transport, and terminal benefits provided by the government. Mr. Speaker, sir, Section D4, which is in page 54 of the manual, defines the medical benefits, including medical treatments outside Kenya and medical ex gratia assistance accorded to all public servants defined in the manual. Section D39(2) define the life and disability insurance cover in favor of every member of the pension scheme for a minimum of 5 years or 5 times of the pension scheme member annual pensionable emolument. Mr. Speaker, sir, Section F of the manual further defines work environment, health and safety, and public servants. This section provides guidelines and standards for the prevention and protection of officers against accident and occupational hazard arising in the workplace. The section also provides for guidelines, procedures, and compensation for work-related injuries and accident contracted during an outside course of work. Section F10 details the compensation requirements to government officers in case of injury of death or death, compensation during sick leave, and Section F17, 1 to 6, Mr. Speaker, define the group personal accident policy, and F17(7) define the benefit both in WIBA and GPA cover to public servants. Mr. Speaker, sir, the responsibility towards the provisions of the above defined benefits as anchored in the Constitution is a primary duty of the government as the employer, and thereby places a statutory obligations on shoulders of the government to ensure that the detailed benefits are provided compulsorily. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Public Service Superannuation Scheme Act 8 of 2012 on Section 6(4) also defined that in addition to the contribution specified in subsection 1 and 2 of the Act, further provides that, and I quote, that government shall take out and maintain a life insurance policy that has a disability benefit in favor of every member of the PSSS scheme for a minimum of 5 times the member's annual pensionable emolument. The responsibility, therefore, Mr. Speaker, of providing benefits defined in the Act to members of the scheme is placed on the Board of Trustees. Mr. Speaker, sir, the implication of the above statutory documents and legislation is that all public servants, and I repeat, Mr. Speaker, all public servants who have suffered accident injuries, occupational illness, or death while in service are entitled to compensation equivalent to benefits defined in Section 6(4) of the PSS Act and Section 10, 1 to 6, and Table 7 of the Human Resource Policies and Procedures Manual for Public Service of 2016. Mr. Speaker, I would like to highlight that teachers who form the bulk of the civil servants have never been provided with this benefit. Mr. Speaker, over 4,094 teachers have died since the year 2016, and over 30,000 have recorded occupational illness and injuries. The estimated value for compensation, Mr. Speaker, that is legally due to teachers, that is their next of kins, is in excess of Kenya shillings 25 billion. Further, Mr. Speaker, the discipline services, the National Police, the Kenya Prison Services, have not been fully compensated to date. For instance, Mr. Speaker, there exist over 1,000 death and disability claims pertaining to a period of from 2016 to 2018 that are still outstanding. Yet, let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker. Further, the discipline services, which is the National Police and the Kenya Prison Services, have not been fully compensated to date. For instance, there exist over 1,000 death and disability claims pertaining to the period of from 2016 to 2018 that are still outstanding. Yet the government had procured insurance covers to cater for the above benefits. Further, Mr. Speaker, for the period pertaining the year 2021-2022 financial year, the National Police Service and the Kenya Prison Services were provided with 1 year benefit by the National Health Insurance Fund insurer, who is the insurer, as opposed to the 5 years life and disability benefit as per the PSSS Act. The judiciary has also not procured the insurance benefit for their staff in line with the Act. Mr. Speaker, the financial exposure to the government arising from such errors and omissions is quite huge. And if any of the public servants or their next of kins of the deceased public servants were to resort to legal redress, this would be a huge embarrassment to the government of the day. Mr. Speaker, sir, to safeguard the rights of each and every public servant in line with the Constitution and the employment contract, which is in line with the Kenya labor laws that governs the relations between the employer and the employees, the government through the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, and the National Treasury and Economic Planning must, Mr. Speaker, fully enforce compliance with the PSSS Act, number 8 of 2012, and the Human Resource and Procedures Manual of May 2016. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Senate, and by extension, the National Assembly, must oversight the government and ensure that the above is implemented. It is important to note that non-compliance to the above requirement, Mr. Speaker, exposes the government to financial losses, as the government will have to settle claims from its exchequer. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a matter which I would like to plead with you. I brought this matter under Standing Order 52.1 because I wanted to lay out the foundation for members to be able to understand. I would like to plead with you to apply your own discretion so that it saves me time from bringing a statement under 53 to be able to commit this statement to the Committee of Labor so that these teachers, particularly the families of the over 4,094 teachers who have died and have not been compensated, can be compensated. Mr. Speaker, if you do that, you will really be putting discipline. And this parliament shall not be making laws just for them to be good in paper. If you make laws, you make sure you implement them to the fully. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. You know, Senator Lekina, all through your statement, which really is so deep and has a lot of concerns, I was wondering, what do you want to achieve under Standing Order 52.1 by coming up with this comprehensive statement? But now what you'll still do is to go that route under 53.1. Now proceed and prosecute through the system so that it can appear maybe next week or sometimes to come, so that the Committee on Labor can prosecute this matter. The next one is Senator Miraj.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely the indignity and challenges suffered by women and young girls during menstruation. Mr. Speaker, sir, Kenya is composed of different ethnicities, with some having deeply rooted cultures. In some of these ethnicities, menstruation is too shameful and embarrassing a topic to be discussed openly. As a result, menstruating girls lack enough information about their bodies, and adolescent boys tease and stigmatize menstruating girls for failure to understand that menstruation is a normal biological process. There is A huge proportion of adolescent girls and women who are unable to access information, safe materials, and other facilities for proper menstrual hygiene management. Mr. Speaker, sir, formative research indicates that 65% of women and girls in Kenya are still unable to afford or access sanitary pads. In addition, there have been appalling reports of girls exchanging sex for money to buy sanitary pads, and that 2 out of the 3 pad users in rural Kenya borrow money from sexual partners. This not only compounds the problem but also increases the risk of early age pregnancy and getting infected with sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, and HIV. Mr. Speaker, sir, no woman or girl deserves the indignity of having to use dry cow dung, leaves, newspapers, used socks, old mattresses, cutting, or rags to catch her menstrual flow. These crude materials are not only ineffective but also unhygienic and uncomfortable. Mr. Speaker, sir, in most parts of Kenya, school-going girls of menstrual age are either forced to endure this humiliation or be absent from school. And for the brave girls who want to remain in school and build a bright future, a large number of them confess to facing the stigma that comes from the unhygienic menstrual hygiene. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important to note that young adolescent girls lose significant learning time during menstruation. Moreover, this state of affairs is worsened by the lack of information on menstrual matters, as well as deep cultures of taboos, myths, and misconceptions surrounding menstruation and menstrual blood. Mr. Speaker, we believe that young girls should not be left alone to make such tough choices. They should be supported, empowered, and allowed to have their menstrual period in safe, confident, and dignified manner. In a bid to restore dignity to these girls, retain them in school, and enable them to face the period with confidence, there are several initiatives that can help in mitigating the challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, on such initiative is the Jimbo Pad project, which aims to break the silence on menstrual matters, debunk the myths and misconception on this subject area, sensitize boys and girls on menstruation, and manufacture and donate sanitary towels to needy girls of menstrual age through pushing for establishment of 1 sanitary towel factory per county. Further, research in Kenyan schools indicates a very high dependency on non-governmental organizations, NGOs, to support sanitation and hygiene among school-going children. Mr. Speaker, given the requisite support, the Jimbo Pad project will offer the solution by promoting safe and proper menstrual hygiene management. This will be easily attained if every county could invest in constructing a sanitary pad factory, as this will enable provision of sanitary pads to menstruating girls and even reach out to those young girls who have dropped out of school and give them a second chance to brighten their future. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to conclude by encouraging all senators to come out in support of the Jimbo Pad project, as it is an initiative that will present an immediate solution to several challenges menstruating girls in needy settings. The project promises to be a sustainable solution if it receives the goodwill of both levels of government, as it will stand the use of unhygienic materials as well as the rise in school dropout rates. I thank you for this opportunity to make this statement. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Senator Miraj. So, honorable senators, I promise to give 2 or 3 senators to comment on the statement by Senator Kavidu. And I want to start with Senator Okech Endi. Senator Hendi Gicheru, what is your interest on the dashboard? Is it to make a comment on? Okay. Just, I want to limit 2 minutes, kindly, clerk. 2 minutes each member. We have overshot our statements time by almost another 1 hour. We are doing so poorly, but we had a lot of statements. I appreciate so. So proceed, kindly, 2 minutes enough, just to make a brief comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that the first thing I wanted to say is I wanted to appreciate this particular committee for the work they have done so far. I think that Senator Kavindu has done a lot of work and being able to engage the families, excuse me, the families that were victims. And Mr. Speaker, I have also seen that this has also rekindled the conversations around this particular matter in our country, to the extent that it has even made visible the people who are what we would call the front workers, people who respond during this kind of crisis. And I just hope that fellow senators here will know that from what we have been seeing in the meetings that our esteemed ad hoc committee has been doing, many Kenyans are living in a lot of pain. Many Kenyans have got a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder that they experienced from the 1998 bombing. And most of them have also experienced lost opportunities because of this particular problem, Mr. Speaker. And it is indeed extremely important and urgent that we must work as a Senate and as colleagues to make sure that the compensation equation that this committee is seeking for the victims and survivors of the 1998 bombing, Mr. Speaker, receives the urgent attention not only of our national leadership, but also of the US government leadership. This is one thing that, although this House requires an ad hoc committee, Mr. Speaker, that is limited in terms of number, this is one thing that actually needs a more concerted effort, that even some of us would want to be friends of the committee to be able to put some more push so that these people can get justice. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, in the sense of time, and I appreciate the committee for the work that they're doing.
Yeah, Majority Whip. Senator Dr. Boni Karwale.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, America is a valuable friend. A friend of Kenya, a friend of the region, and a friend of Africa. It's important that the progress made by the committee, as promised, that they're going to talk to the ambassador comes clean. We do not expect the United States of America to talk down at us, to wait when an African country, for example, does legislation like Uganda, and then they start doing the things they're doing there. They have to be humane. I have seen in public domain a conversation, Mr. Speaker, starting to emerge to the effect that somebody is claiming some Kenyans were compensated. Those who are employees of the embassy. We would like the human side of the Americans to wake up so that beyond those people who worked for them, they also address the people who got injured and lost lives when they were not necessarily employees of the embassy. And I want to promise, I'm not a member of this committee, but when the High Commissioner, when the Ambassador of America will come, I will sit in this committee and sit straight right in front of him, talk to him eyeball to eyeball, to remind them that they can't be talking down at us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Okay, minority leader.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, cha kwanza nataka kupatia kongole kamati yetu hii ambayo ilikuwa katika hii mambo ya bomu iliyotokea wakati ule wa Amerika hapa kwetu Kenya katika ubalozi wa Amerika, ambapo Wakenya wengi waliathirika na majeraha na wengine hata kufa. Bwana Spika, juzi tulikuwa naangalia ile runinga na nikaona mtoto ambaye alikuwa ndani ya tumbo la mamake katika mwezi wa 7 wakati mamake aliathirika na hii bomu iliyotokea pale katika ubalozi wa Amerika. Bwana Spika, kwa ufupi tu ni kwamba watu wengi walipata majeraha, lakini tunaona katika ile kazi ya wale waliokuwa wanafanya kazi katika ile nyumba ya Amerika pale ndani, wa Amerika kwa sababu ya sheria zao na mienendo yao ya kibinadamu waliona ni kubahilika wazi ya kwamba wale walioathirika, hata pengine wale wengine waliopata majeraha makubwa ndani ya ile ubalozini pale wa Amerika, waliweza kulipwa fidia fulani, ambao hao wakiwa wako hai ama hawako hai hivi sasa walifaidika na vile ambavyo waliweza kupoteza watu wao na wengine pia kupata majeraha makubwa. Hapa Kenya, Bwana Spika, hatujaona Mkenya yoyote ambaye aliumia kwa sababu ile bomu haikulenga Mkenya, ililenga ubalozini. Lakini wale wa Kenya ambao walikuwa wanafanya kazi zao, wanapita kwenda katika kazi zao mbalimbali, walipatikana na hii kuathirika na hii bomu. Kwa hiyo tunasema tu ya kwamba ingekuwa vyema ikiwa Amerika ile roho ya imani inaweza kuwaingia na hawa watu wetu ambao walipata majeraha wakati wa ile bomu kubwa ilipotokea, na watu wengi sana wakapoteza maisha yao ambao ni wa Kenya, waweze kulipwa. Jambo la kusisitiza zaidi hapa ni kwamba hawa Wakenya wetu ni binadamu pia. Na kama mtoto alikuwa ndani ya tumbo la mamake na ametoka hivi leo anasema ya kwamba mpaka sasa anasikia kisunzi, mpaka sasa macho yake haoni vizuri, ni kwa sababu ya hii athari iliyotokea wakati ule. Kwa hiyo tunasema tu ya kwamba, kwa kumalizia Bwana Spika, tunasema tu ya
wezi unajua sasa seneta wa Kilifi, huwezi kuwa saa zote wewe unajigambo ni kiongozi. Kwa hivyo ungesema tu kwa heshima, usiseme wewe ni kiongozi. Wengine wakuite kiongozi, wewe usijiite, sio? Sekunde 30, lakini wewe unajua kufupisha maneno sababu ya time, unajua tuko shinda na muda sasa.
Asante Bwana Spika.
Sekunde 30.
Asante Bwana Spika. Sasa sijui kama hiyo point hiyo hoja ya nidhamu.
Malizia.
Asante Bwana Khalwale.
Malizia tafadhali.
Okay, nilikuwa nafikiria wampatia Bwana Khalwale. Ndugu yangu Khalwale alikuwa tayari na hoja yake ya nidhamu. Lakini
wanakuchanganya, malizia hoja yako.
Ndio, kwa kumalizia Bwana Spika. Kwa kumalizia tu Bwana Spika, ni kwamba tunahitaji kuona hii kamati yetu ikiwa na ushirikiano mwema na utendakazi wa kisawasawa, iweze kupewa hiyo nafasi, na ile serikali ya Amerika iweze kuangalia hili swala kwa jicho la imani na kuona ya kwamba watu wa Kenya wamepata haki zao. Asante Bwana Spika.
Asante sana. Next is Senator Professor Margaret Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join my colleagues in congratulating the committee chaired by my sister, Senator Kavindu, on the progress they have made so far. Mr. Speaker, I would like to agree with Senator Alwale that the US has been a friend to this country. And it looks like some things have not been understood on this occasion, because under normal circumstances, we should be discussing and concluding. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to hear that there are a few visits that the committee is going to make, one of which is to meet the ambassador And it's very important that they meet the ambassador and the senators on the other side for a few reasons. One is that there is need to audit these people we are being told were paid. On the 25th anniversary, and I congratulate the committee for visiting and meeting the families for the first time, actually, because they had almost been forgotten. It was very clear that there are people who are still hurting, there are people who were hurt at that time and have not been able to come to terms even with what happened, let alone the compensation. They are saying they have never even been talked to, nobody has talked to them. I would like to encourage the committee that as they move forward to meet the US ambassador, they should have their documents right. Who exactly was paid? Because it is known. And if it is not, if they don't have the documentation, let the documentation come before they even go to the US, so that it is very clear who was paid and who was not paid. Audit is very, very important, Mr. Speaker, because we know that even if the people who were paid were those who were in the embassy, Mr. Speaker, we know the law of compensation in this land, let alone the one in the US, that if you have an accident caused by a vehicle, even a trailer causing an accident, even if you are not inside the matatu, you will be compensated by the insurance company. So if we are going to compensate people who have been affected by an accident just because you were affected by that vehicle, we are expecting that the US will look at these victims mercifully, knowing that they are victims of some accident of some sort. Mr. Speaker, we know that there is a fund which we were informed was started in the US in the year 2014, anti-terrorism fund in the US. These are the people who should be taken care of. We really want to close this chapter. And our appeal to the US Embassy and to our colleagues, the senators in the US, is that we close this chapter. We believe that our colleagues, the senators, have not heard the real story. And we believe that if we take the real story to them, things will be done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Senator. Senator Cherari K. Samson.
Mr. Speaker, two quick things. One, I want to thank...
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, sorry, Madam Speaker, sorry. I know the change on the seat. My apologies, Madam Speaker. I rise to continue to empathize with the victims of 1998, the INIAS Act of Terrorism, where many Kenyans and other nationalities were killed. One of the victims that died is my resident of Nandi County, Namosine village, by the name Wilson Mutahi. I want to thank A24 journalist Isaiah Cheruiyot for carrying a very incisive story about the loss, and yet they have not been compensated, Madam Speaker. I have sent the video even to the ad hoc chair, Senator Kavindu, Kava Mama, to do follow-up so that most of these victims, Madam Speaker, it's sad when they were celebrating 25 years, Madam Speaker, that they did not give psychosocial support, they did not give any compensation, Madam Speaker, and therefore, Madam Speaker, finally, is to appeal to the American government, because it's a friendly nation, to compensate, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it behooves the country and the world that American government was compensated a whopping $335 million by Sudan government, Madam Speaker, to be removed from the list of terrorist countries, Madam Speaker. The US itself has received compensation over victims of terror attacks, Madam Speaker. Even in the case of 1988 of Lockerbie, the Panama Airlines that was shot allegedly by terror, Madam Speaker, the Libyan government went ahead and paid $1.5 billion in terms of compensation to the Americans and other nationalities that died during the Lockerbie air crash by Panama flight, Madam Speaker. So this issue of compensation is not new. The American government has been compensated by other nationalities, Madam Speaker. They should also reciprocate the same, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I hope by the time the ad hoc committee concludes, each and every Kenyan, including other nationalities, must be paid and compensated. Just the way when you are traveling in a car and get an accident, the insurance normally gives you compensation, Madam Speaker. And I wish the American government and the US Congress will be able, Madam Speaker, to sit and quickly resolve this matter, Madam Speaker, because US government is a friendly nation. We know the input that the US government has put even in the Kenyan government and investment, Madam Speaker. We appeal that they should also do the same. With so many remarks, I support the committee and wish them well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. We have one statement from Senator Mudigi.
Request for statement on the well-being of teachers post-retirement. Madam Speaker, I rise person to standing under 53(1) to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the well-being of teachers post-retirement. In the statement, the committee should 1. Outline initiatives and programs the Teacher Service Commission TSC is implementing to prepare and build sociological resilience in teachers approaching retirement, explaining how these efforts are tailored to address the concerns and challenges faced by the teachers. State the measures the government has put in place to expedite the payment of retirement benefit to teachers upon their retirement. 2. Mirror other institutions such as Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KPLC, that process and limit the benefit within 3 months and 3. Explain additional post-retirement support activities and engagement the TSC undertake to promote the continuous well-being of retired teachers. Senator Mudigi, Embu County.
Senator Mudigi, did you also have, there was an earlier report that was to be given, to be laid. I'll call upon Senator Shakila to present the report from a Committee of Powers and Privileges, to lay a report and give notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following...
There is a change on the seat. There is a Madam, not sir.
Oh, Madam Speaker. Sorry, my apology. Madam Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 9th August, 2023. Report of the Committee of Powers and Privilege on the inquiry on the own motion into conduct of Senator Gloria Orobwa, MP, and to establish if the conduct constituted breach of Parliament privilege. Madam Speaker, notice of motion, report of the Committee of Powers and Privilege on the inquiry on its own motion into conduct of Senator Gloria Orobwa, MP, and to establish if the conduct constituted breach of parliamentary privilege. I beg to give notice of the following motion. Madam Speaker, that the Senate adopts the report of the Committee of Power and Privilege on the inquiry on its own motion into conduct of the Senate Gloria Orobwa, MP, and to establish if the conduct constituted breach of parliamentary privilege. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8.
Before you do that, Mr. Clerk, I think I'll give an opportunity for a few seconds. Senator Katib.
Hapa Senate inajulikana kama Senator Mwenye Haji Faki Mohamed. Khatibu ni jina la wakili. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to comment on the two statements, one by Senator Kavindu Mudhama on the ad hoc committee on the compensation of the bomb blast victims. Madam Speaker, I want to commend Senator Kavindu and her committee for the splendid work they have done in the 1 month that they have been in existence. The work they have done is commendable, and I hope by the end of their term, the victims of the bomb blast will have a compensation on their table. Madam Speaker, it is not fair on the United States of America to compensate some of the victims of the bomb blast and leave out others. Those who suffered did not suffer because they wanted to suffer, Madam Speaker. Those who died, those who were injured, suffered because America was the primary victim of this bomb. Therefore, Madam Speaker, it is inhuman and unfair for America to choose to compensate their citizens, yet they left Kenyans still clamoring for their compensation about 25 years later. Madam Speaker, as said by my brother Senator Cherargei, America has been compensated by Sudan. It has been compensated by Libya as a result of suspected masterminds of their bombing having been come from those countries. So, Madam Speaker, it is not fair for America to close their eyes on Kenya, yet they have been compensated in similar circumstances. Coming to the report by my chair, Senator Mwenda Getaya, more fire. Madam Speaker, we have also done a lot in the Delegated Legislation Committee. Sadly, is the fact that when Parliament or the National Assembly passed the Finance Act 2013, they also amended the Statutory Instruments Act to deny Senate the opportunity to look at the statutory instruments that are expiring after the lapse of 10 years. Madam Speaker, that is not fair. Parliament composes of two houses, the National Assembly and the Senate, and those instruments affect some of the devolved functions, and therefore that legislation ought to have been brought to this House so that members can have an opportunity to debate and also see whether it assists our counties in resolving their issues. Madam Speaker, we have done a lot in that committee, and we look forward to working together so that we can be able to look at the pending and upcoming statutory instruments that will affect the functions of our counties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Segei, Wakili Hilali Brotich.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to comment on the statement by Senator Kavindu, particularly with regard to the plea by Kenyans on the compensation for the bombing that we all witnessed. A number of us were still very young those days. Madam Speaker, we have watched and we have listened to the experiences that our Kenyans went through. The survivors have in so many occasions laid out bare the experiences which are very sad. We cannot fathom the fact that the US government has taken it for granted, the compensation that the people of Kenya are expected to get from that government. As someone has earlier on said, the United States of America is a friendly state to the government of Kenya. We believe that with the setting up of this particular committee and also the role that it has put itself ahead of the engagements that they are going to do, we will expect them to come out with a report that will ensure that Kenyans are compensated as the rest of other countries have done in such a particular incident. Madam Speaker, as regards the statement by the chairperson of the Delegated Legislation, Mofaya, indeed, Parliament is defined by the Constitution as comprising the Senate and the National Assembly. Any legislation that affects the devolved function of the government and where the Senate is involved must be put through this particular House for approval, for support, and any such legislation that does not pass through this House, we have times without number insisted that the role of this House is constitutional. The Supreme Court has pronounced itself as to the role this House is empowered in the Constitution, and we must play that particular role. And where such particular legislations are not taken through this particular house should not be applied because it is entirely against the dictates of the supreme law of this particular land. Madam Speaker, I support the statements and I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kamau, you're next.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute into the statement by Senator Kavindu. Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the committee, the ad hoc committee, for the good job that they have done. And I want to say that it is very unfair, Madam Speaker, for the American government to compensate its members and leave out Kenyans, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yesterday I saw some clips in the media, Madam Speaker. The victims of the bomb blast were really crying, Madam Speaker, because of the kind of life that they have been undergoing since then, since the time that the bomb blast happened in Kenya, Madam Speaker. And it is very unfair for the American government, being a friendly nation to Kenya, to compensate its members and leave out the Kenyans who are in dire need of the support, Madam Speaker, because of that accident that happened to them, Madam Speaker. I would urge, Madam Speaker, the ad hoc committee that is mandated to oversee that they go and speak with a Senate in the US, Madam Speaker. They present or they advocate their case accordingly. They make sure that they talk with the senators in the United States. And I believe, Madam Speaker, because USA is a friendly nation to Kenya, definitely they will listen to their grievances and they will be able to compensate the Kenyans that suffered the bomb blast, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have had an opportunity to travel with the minority leader to the United States of America, and we had an opportunity to speak with a lawyer who is representing the victims, Madam Speaker. And according to the statement by that lawyer, Madam Speaker, he said that the only thing that is required right now to do is the Kenyan Senate to make sure that it makes an appointment with the Senate in the United States. They prosecute their case. And Madam Speaker, I believe that the United States of America government is ready to listen to Kenyans, Madam Speaker. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my chair, Senator Muthama, for the statement in the House. Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate that 25 years down the line, the Kenyan victims of this very unfortunate situation have not been compensated. Madam Speaker, the challenge we have, I am a member of this committee, and we have had several engagements with various stakeholders. And Mr. Speaker, the suffering I witnessed on Monday when we had a prayer session with the victims, Madam Speaker, it is a very, very challenging situation. And Madam Speaker, as a committee, let me confirm to the House, as said by the chair, that we will proceed to engage the various stakeholders. We talk about the consortium of the victims. You talk about the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Madam Speaker, the US Congress, and the lawyers also of the victims. Madam Speaker, once we do all this, and I also believe that the Kenyan government, led by the His Excellency President, Madam Speaker, is a listening president. This is an issue, Madam Speaker, which the country, this nation, should be able to come forward and support the victims. Madam Speaker, even on that Monday, I got shocked that we have a new group of victims of this incident, the so-called the silent victims. These are children, Madam Speaker, who were born after the bomb blast. And you talk of very young people, 25 years of age. Others are in school, others are still, unemployed, even after going through education. So, Madam Speaker, this situation is such serious that is so serious that it's important that as a country and as a committee and as a house, we have to rise to our occasion and be able to push for the compensation. Madam Speaker, the cordial relationship between the Kenyan government and that of the United States should, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, be an avenue through which we can receive the goodwill necessary for the support. It is unfortunate, I read in the news yesterday that the US government is saying they have already done the compensation. And Madam Speaker, you wonder therefore, who are these people who have been compensated? Yet all the 230 victims have not been compensated. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support the statement by my chair, and I hope that we are going to succeed as a committee. Madam Speaker, finally on the issue of delegated legislation. Madam Speaker, I was the chair of that committee in National Assembly. The challenge we have here is that the Statutory Instruments Act should be amended so that it makes it mandatory, Madam Speaker, that all instruments should be able to come to Parliament, not National Assembly. So that, Madam Speaker, the statutory making body should be able to forward those regulations to National Assembly and at the same time to this House, so that then there is approval by the two houses. Madam Speaker, it is important. You see, the delegation of making laws by National Assembly, by Senate, by Parliament to either ministry or a corporation, Madam Speaker, is a delegated power. Otherwise, the institution that has the has the power to make laws is both National Assembly and this House. So I want to agree with the chair of Delegated that there is need to relook at all this so that, Madam Speaker, then this House will have a role to play in approving regulations which have the full force of the law. So, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator. What is your point of order, Senator Chipton? Senator Kamau Joseph.
Madam Speaker, is it in order for Senator Cherargei to cross from the other side to this other side of the floor without following the rules, Madam Speaker, bearing in mind that Senator Cherargei is a very senior member of this House?
Senator Cherargei, you are ruled out of order. Can you abide with the standing orders by doing what you're supposed to do? Bow before the chair. We'll have the final comment on the statement on bomb blast from Senator Ogola Beatrice Akinyi, because her name had fallen off the list of those who are contributing.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to comment on this outstanding issue that the ad hoc committee of the Senate is dealing with. And Honorable Speaker, as I rise, I would like it to be noted that this weekend in Homa Bay County, we are going to bury a former victim of the bomb blast by the name Jane Odemba. This is a lady who suffered serious injuries, and for 25 years, Jane has been waiting for compensation from the American government. It is unfortunate we are going to bury her 25 years without getting this compensation, but we hope that with the journey that the ad hoc committee begins, Jane will get justice even as she rests in her grave. Madam Speaker, it is important that Kenyans who suffered at the hands of this crime get justice. And Madam Speaker, we say justice to the victims is justice to this country, Kenya. And Madam Speaker, the committee, I'm impressed, the committee is going to look into compensation, one of loss of life, 2 of the injuries that were sustained, 3 of the opportunities that were lost, Madam Speaker. If you listen to the victims of the bomb blast, Madam Speaker, it is so painful that a number of children who were born then lost their parents, and a number of them even dropped out of school. And so it is important that all these groups of people get justice. Madam Speaker, it is important also to say that the UN SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 16, talks about peace and justice and opportunity for all. And Madam Speaker, it is also important to note that the USA is a signatory to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 16, and so it is only in order that the American government lives to the expectations of the world. Madam Speaker, this morning we had Mass presided over by the Bishop of Malindi, Bishop Lago. And there's a teaching that touched my heart, Madam Speaker. The Bishop talked about the world-breaking barriers. Madam Speaker, these barriers includes the barriers we have against each other, the discrimination we face based on race, based on countries, based on tribe, based on religion, and based on so many categories. And he referred to it as rubbing the mouth of the past. I talk of this, Madam Speaker, because we are talking about discrimination that the American government has shown the victims of the bomb blast. We would like the American government to live to the expectations of the world, to show justice, to show non-discriminations to nations. And Madam Speaker, this is important because Kenyans suffered on a path that they did not know of. That morning, there are people who are just going on their daily lives, walking past the site, and they were caught up in this erroneous crime, Madam Speaker. I want to support the work of this ad hoc committee, and we want to say that let them follow all these activities up to the end. And Madam Speaker, as I wind up, I also want to comment on the statement by the Senator of Embu, our own Senator Alexander Mundigi, who talks about the post-retirement effects that teachers have when they retire. Madam Speaker, as I stand here, I'm a proud daughter of teachers, I'm a proud wife of a teacher, and I'm a proud teacher as I stand here. And following those three, Madam Speaker, I know what teachers go through. And all of us know the role teachers play in this country. That teachers remain the biggest opinion leaders we have in our communities. Teachers remain the main contributors in our economy. And Madam Speaker, it is important that this nation looks at the welfare of teachers even as they retire. And Madam Speaker, this is important by even looking at the remuneration of the teachers, by preparing them for retirement even as they prepare to retire, because the government has all the records of all the workers in this country. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I support these two statements.
Thank you very much, Senator Beatrice. You can call the next order, clerk.
Order number 8, the Prompt Payment Bill, Senate Bills number 8 of 2022, second reading division.
We'll defer the division to tomorrow, 2:30. Next order.
Order number 9, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 16 of 2023, second reading division.
We will defer the division of the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill until tomorrow, 10th August 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Next order.
Order number 10, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023, second reading.
We will resume the debates on the Equalization Fund Administration Bill. Senator Catherine Muma had a balance of 1 minute. She's not here, so we will have Senator Sigei Wakili Hilali.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to also contribute to this very important bill, Equalization Fund Administration Bill number of 2023. Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill that seeks to establish a legal framework for conducting regular reviews and assessment of the fund's performance. In this case, Madam Speaker, I'm making reference to the Equalization Fund that is provided for by Article 204 of the Constitution of Kenya. Madam Speaker, the objective is, of course, to facilitate necessary legal framework for purposes of managing the fund in order to ensure transparency, minimize the misuse or abuse of the fund, and also directing this particular fund towards the marginalized areas and also in full compliance with the provisions of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, this is very crucial in terms of distribution of the resources in order to address the regional discrepancies in terms of development of both and promoting socio-economic development of the country. Madam Speaker, this is a crucial bill, as I've said, that is seeking to ensure proper administration of the fund and in order to ensure that there is full compliance with the provisions of Article 204 of the Constitution, and more importantly, Madam Speaker, to ensure that the amount of funds which are dedicated to the equalization fund and areas which have been identified by the Commission for Revenue Allocation are indeed directly beneficiaries. As I support this particular bill, Madam Speaker, I have picked on certain very crucial provisions which in quick successions I will attempt to voice my concerns, which I hope the relevant committee will consider its amendment in due course in order to ensure that the Act serves the purpose as it is envisaged. Madam Speaker, Part 3 of the bill, that is from Clause 6 on the establishment of the advisory board, under such provision, there is the board that is established, and in particular, Clause 6, 1F, provides that there will be a representative nominated by the Council of Governors drawn from areas identified as marginalized by the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Madam Speaker, that particular nominee under the provisions of 6.3 is required to serve for a period of a term of 3 years, renewable for 1 further term. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the clause under 8A, under clause 8 provides that a nominee under subsection 6.1e, in this case the particular nominee by the Council of Governors, is provided for to serve for a period of a non-renewable term of 6 years. Madam Speaker, the two provisions contradict themselves. On the one hand, under 6.1f, it's supposed to be 6 years of 3 renewable only once, and under the provisions of Section 8, the same person is supposed to serve for a period of 6 years non-renewable. This is one of the provisions that the committee needs to look at for purposes of amendment in order to ensure that the statute is in full compliance and possible for appropriate implementation. Madam Speaker, Section 10, one of the Act or the bill, provides for the creation of the functions of the advisory board. And Madam Speaker, under subsection G, the bill also makes reference to guidelines. Madam Speaker, these guidelines have already been provided for as deleted under the provision of clause 33 on the repeal clauses. The committee, therefore, I submit, must relook at deleting that particular provision in reference to the guidelines that no longer exist, because in section 33 of the bill, the guidelines are deemed to have been repealed by this particular bill. Madam Speaker, the provision of Part 4 of the bill establishes what is called county technical committees. I want to applaud the bill and the drafters under section 6 that provides for a representative of the relevant county senator in the board. In this technical committee, provided for under clause 16, in particular clause 16, it has listed on the roles or the functions of this particular fund, and it has fully complied with the provisions of Article 2 of the Constitution to ensure that the purpose of the fund is to enhance provision of basic services, including water and sanitation, roads, health facilities, electricity. That is, Madam Speaker, what Article 204 of the Constitution provides for. However, the bill has enhanced an additional subsection E under section 16 that provides for the provision that other basic services shall be identified by the Commission on Revenue Allocation as requiring implementation in a marginalized area. Madam Speaker, I propose that in order to ensure that there is full compliance with that particular Article 204, sub-article 16E be redrafted to ensure that the section does not seem to be contravening the provisions of Article 2042, because 2042 is very specific on the basic services that the Equalization Fund is aimed at. Under clause 17, Madam Speaker, the County Technical Committee is set up and it is established comprising certain people. Unlike sub-clause 6, which had provided for a representative of the area senator, this particular one has left out. This particular one has left out that particular provision, and I would urge the committee to consider reintroducing that representative. Of course, the reason is because the representative of the person or the office of the senator will ensure that the oversight role of the office of the senator is cascaded downwards up to the level of the technical committee that is at the county level. Subclause 17, D and F are a repetition of the other. I propose that one of the two be deleted, and one that is deleted, a replacement is made by introducing the representative of the office of the Senate. That way, Madam Speaker, we will retain the number of the membership to the technical committee and avoid repetition of the representative of the relevant county assembly, as it is, I believe, by mistake provided for by 17, D and F. Madam Speaker, the provisions of section 1920 of the draft bill, in my view, are superfluous. Why do I say so? The section that creates the technical committee is provided under 17. 18, 19 and 20, Madam Speaker, creates a sub-county technical committee. This, in my view, is irrelevant for the two reasons. One is that in the identified areas by the Commission for Revenue Allocation, it is not all sub-counties. In fact, there are certain counties that do not benefit at all on this fund. For instance, in my county, there are only 3 wards that are benefiting from this fund out of 25. And the 3 wards are all domiciled in one particular sub-county. I see therefore no reason why we should create other technical committees from other 4 sub-counties that do not benefit. I therefore propose that the committee relook at the importance and the relevance of this particular provision and delete the provisions of sub-clauses 19 and 20, because there would be no need, when I am aware that in Bomet there are only 3 wards, Chebunyo, Nyangores and Sigor, to benefit, yet the Act will expect the county to develop and establish other technical committees from other non-benefiting sub-counties. I therefore would wish to convince the committee that we do not need the 2 sections, and for obvious reasons also, we would need to utilize the unnecessary creation of legislations which are not of any use, and also minimize possible utilization of public resources in the creation of such technical committees and the attendant expenditure that they will require for purposes of establishing and for purposes of convening sessions, which in most cases are not necessarily of relevance to support the work of the fund. Madam Speaker, further to the provision of clause 23(1), this is the one that provides for the functions of the county executive committee member. In this case, the relevant person is the committee member in charge of finance. Under section 23(1), this CEC is required to report to the board under section 6 of this draft bill. The CEC member, who will be sitting as a technical member of the committee, is expected to report to the board as provided for under section 6. Madam Speaker, Article 179(6) of the Constitution, and you will allow me to refer to it, Madam Speaker, provides for the role, or rather the mandate of the CEC of any particular county. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to make specific reference to that. That is Article 179(6). It says, County Executive Committee, member of a County Executive Committee are accountable to the County Governor for the performance of their functions and exercise of their powers. Whereas the Constitution mandates the CEC to report to the Governor, the draft bill here anticipates that the CEC member will report to the board that is established under section 6. One, Madam Speaker, is most likely going to challenge the constitutionality of that particular provision, and therefore, when we provide for the functions of this particular CEC member, we should see how we will not contravene the provisions of the Constitution, as well as the provisions of section, I believe, 36 of the County Governments Act that gives the role of a CEC. Madam Speaker, further to the provision of, I believe, section 3D of this bill. This is with regards to the extension of the time on the applicability of the fund. Yes, this is section 3D, which suspends the application of Article 2047 of the Constitution and extend the pendency of the fund. Madam Speaker, this is a very critical provision because whereas we are asking for an extension of the availing of these funds to the counties, Article 204(7) and 8 of the Constitution provides that this fund's lifespan is 20 years, and this is a very important provision because it will give a life additional to the fund so that the counties, as are identified by CRA, are also beneficial within the confines of the Constitution. As I support this bill, Madam Speaker, I would urge the committee to consider those particular comments, to consider those position as regards the specific clauses that I've made reference to, so that even as we pass this bill, we pass it in order to make sure that the Equalization Fund is going to directly benefit the counties as identified and for the purpose that is envisaged. Madam Speaker, I support and I thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the bill.
Senator Catherine Muma, I will give you just 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute. Madam Speaker, I extensively contributed to this bill, but just wanted to add one point. I can see Senator Chair Roba is here. I think we need to include a clause that can provide for oversight by the Senate on this particular fund. That section should obligate the implementing entities and the counties to periodically submit reports to the Senate for us to evaluate how the fund is using. It should also provide for opportunity for the Senate to be able to go to the counties to verify that activities being carried out under the Equalization Fund are being carried out as provided. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. I will now call upon the mover of this motion, the chair of this committee, Senator Robert, to come and reply.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I move to reply, and I would like to take this opportunity to first thank all the honorable senators who have contributed extensively to this Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023. As I discussed during the contribution of opening of the second reading, the object of the bill is extremely clear. And having listened to most senators that have contributed, there are a few amendments already proposed in the report that we've submitted with the bill, which takes care of most of the comments that are shared. And there are comments relating to the representation of the office of the senator at the county level. And that one I feel is valuable because most senators have shared that. And as such, we will include in the amendment as required, Madam Speaker, on an issue of just clarity, whereas the beneficiaries of the beneficiary counties are 34, the beneficiary areas are about just about 1,400. And as such, the envisaged position where the technical committees have become necessary for it to be formed at the sub-county level is that the beneficiary counties, the originally envisaged beneficiary counties, which are the 14 counties, are extensively covered in terms of the marginalized areas, and as such, all the sub-counties are equally affected. And hence, that makes it necessary for a technical committee at the sub-county level, meaning at the constituency level, to be in place. And I believe maybe the contribution shared by my colleague, Honorable Senator Wakili Hilary Sigei, on maybe there being no need of establishment of a technical committee at the sub-county level on the basis of the situation in his county. It's a little bit different in the other counties because the other counties are extensively covered, particularly the original ASAL counties. And Madam Speaker, having listened to most contributions, there is a little bit of, maybe information gap. In that, marginalization has been equated to poverty and poverty equated to marginalization. But the reality is that marginalization is not equal to poverty, and poverty is not equal to marginalization. Marginalization is a state of underdevelopment arising from deliberate resource denial by successive governments, starting from the colonial administration in Kenya, that has led to extreme poverty and lack of, availability of basic services in selective areas. Unfortunately, by CRA opening up this discussion to marginalized areas and extending it further, that the envisaged position of the Constitution, Article 204, that established Equalization Fund has been gravely, diluted. Nevertheless, the situation is what it is right now. And Madam Speaker, the second policy has already been passed. We are at the stage of implementation, and where we are at is where CRA now is in the process of formulating the third policy. Madam Speaker, as I reply, I would like to also take this opportunity to give credit where it is deserved. Madam Speaker, Equalization Fund started in 2010. It was supposed to be realized from 2011. But knowing 10 years have lapsed without any meaningful realization of the impact of Equalization Fund and appropriation of the fund, it's only under this current government, that Equalization Fund implementation has found traction, that we have passed Equalization Fund appropriation bill for 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, which is already, ascended to by the President as an act of Parliament. Madam Speaker, we are now in the process of processing the appropriation, bill for Equalization Fund 2023-2024, which is at the tail end of its logical conclusion, meaning the goodwill from the government led by Honorable His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto cannot be understated. We have also had engagement with the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury, Madam Speaker. That goodwill has been explicitly expressed. For the first time, we've made a request, and the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury has responded, providing us with a schedule on how he intends to comply with the arrears that are unreleased to Equalization Fund, amounting to 39 billion shillings, which is quite a lot of money for these deserving cases, which of course shall be appropriated accordingly under the first policy, which is the 14 counties, and then under the second policy, where the marginalized areas have been utilized. Madam Speaker, the honorable senators of this House have made quite a lot of contributions, which and there are common denominators in the contribution that we feel as a committee we need to put it into consideration and also include it in part of the amendments that we intend to move at the relevant time that amendment need to be moved past this stage of second reading. Madam Speaker, I have taken note of most contributions as given, and will endeavor to take the underlying issues that have come out, that quite sincerely, having listened to them very keenly, I feel that as a committee we need to bring them on board as required and make sure that at the appropriate time that we are moving the amendments, that these issues are also taken into consideration. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply and pass on to Standing Order number 66-3. I beg that the putting of the question be deferred to a later date. I reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Roba. The putting of the question is deferred to tomorrow, 10th of August, 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Next question, next order.
Order number 11, the Committee of the Whole, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023.
Honorable Senators, the House will adjourn for the committee. Oh, okay.
Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole to consider the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023. The Standing Committee on Education has some amendments to make, and we will go through these amendments.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Clause 3, we seek to move the amendment that Clause 3 of the bill be amended in paragraph A by inserting the words "at all levels of education" immediately after the words right to education.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 3 be amended as proposed. A division at the end.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We seek to move amendment to Clause 4, that Clause 4 be amended in paragraph C by deleting the words cultural and appearing immediately after the words sensitive to the.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that Clause 5 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Clause 5, we seek amendment to Clause 5 by amending A by deleting paragraph B, B in paragraph C by inserting the words augmentative and alternative communication immediately after the words Kenyan Sign Language. C in paragraph E by deleting the words institution of learning appearing immediately after the words to any and substituting therefore the words educational institution. And D in paragraph F by inserting the word appropriate immediately after the words equal access to, and E inserting the following new paragraph immediately after paragraph F, FA, protection from any form of discrimination.
I propose the question that Clause 5 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 5 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 6.
I propose the question that Clause 6 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I propose that Clause 6 is amended as it is in the order paper.
I propose the question that Clause 6 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 6 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 7.
I propose the question that Clause 7 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we seek to amend Clause 7 as it is in the order paper.
I propose the question that Clause 7 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 7 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 8.
I propose the question that Clause 8 be part of the bill. Chairperson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we seek amendment to Clause 8
as it is described in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 9.
I propose the question that clause 9 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair, we propose that clause 9 be amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 10 and 11.
I propose the question that clauses 10 and 11 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 10 and 11 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 12.
I propose the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we propose clause 12 to be amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 12 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 12 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 13.
I propose the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we propose that clause 13 is amended by deleting that clause.
I propose the question that clause 13 be amended as proposed. I put the question that...
Madam Chair, that clause 13 be deleted.
Okay. I propose the question that clause 13 be deleted. I put the question that clause 13 be deleted. Division at the end.
Clause 14.
I propose the question that clause 14 be part of the bill.
The same question.
Chairperson.
Clause 14 be deleted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we propose that clause 14 is amended by deleting that clause.
I propose that clause 13, clause 14 be deleted. I put the question that clause 14 be deleted. Division at the end.
Clause 15.
I propose the question that clause 15 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we propose that clause 15 of the bill be amended in subclass 2 as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 16 to 22.
I propose the question that clauses 16 to 22 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 16 to 22 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 23.
I propose the question that clause 23 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 23 is deleted. Thank you.
I propose the question that clause 23 is deleted. I put the question that clause 23 be deleted. Division at the end.
Clause 24.
I propose the question that clause 24 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 24 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 25.
I propose the question that clause 25 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 25 be amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 26.
I propose the question that clause 26 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 26 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 27.
I propose the question that clause 27 be part of the bill. I put the question that clause 27 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 28.
I propose the question that clause 28 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 28 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 29.
I propose the question that clause 29 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we propose that clause 29 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 29 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 29 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 30.
I propose the question that clause 30 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 30 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 30 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 30 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 31, 32, 33, and 34.
I propose the question that clauses 31 to 34 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 31 to 34 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 35.
I propose the question that clause 35 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 35 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 35 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 35 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 36, 37, and 38.
I propose the question that clauses 36 to 38 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 36 to 38 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 39.
I propose the question that clause 39 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 39 is amended as it is in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 39 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 39 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 40.
I propose the question that clause 40 be part of the bill. I put the question that clause 40 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 41.
I propose the question that clause 41 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 41 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 41 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 41 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 42.
I propose the question that clause 42 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 42 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 42 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 42 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 43 and 44.
I propose the question that clauses 43 and 44 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 43 and 44 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 45.
I propose the question that clause 45 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Madam Chair, we propose that clause 45 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 45 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 45 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 46.
I propose the question that clause 46 be part of the bill. I put the question that clause 46 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Chair,
Chairperson.
Yeah. Let me appoint the
Looks like it's there. How close to No, it's actually clause 45, clause 2. Oh, okay. Yes. This is actually another bill. Okay. So your amendment is there.
And we end there.
And we end there.
Chair, we propose that clause 2 is amended as it is on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
The title and clause 1.
I propose the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
So we can inform the House that we finished the clauses, but looking at the
Honorable members, we have finished moving the amendments, but we do not have the numbers to go into division. So we will be seeking to move this to tomorrow. I therefore call upon the mover to report progress.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order 148, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
I will put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker.
I now call upon the chair to report, the chairperson, to report progress on the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4, 2023.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow.
I will now call upon the mover of the motion to move the motion.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report.
Who is the seconder? Can you invite the seconder?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I second as moved.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I now put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Senators, order number 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are deferred. Clerk can call out the next order.
Order number 17, the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2023, second reading.
This was a bill that was moved by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. The Chairperson is not here, so the same is deferred. Number 18, order number 18.
Order number 18, the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2023, second reading.
Equally, this bill is deferred. The mover is not in the House, Senator Samson Cheroreke. Next order.
Order number 19, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Health on the death of the late Edward Otieno Onyango due to alleged medical negligence.
The motion is also deferred. And in motion number 20 and 21, both are also deferred. The mover of that motion is the same. It's the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Health. Next order, please.
Order number 22, motion, report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and related meetings held in Manama Kingdom of Bahrain from 11th to 15th March 2023.
The motion is also deferred. The mover is not in the House, Senator Kaduri Murungi. Honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 10th August 2023 at 2:30 p.m.
Good afternoon and welcome to the live proceedings of the Senate on this very first day of August. The date is the 1st of August, the year is 2023. This being Tuesday afternoon of the Senate with a lot of agenda before the floor of the House this afternoon. The senators are set to consider the extension of mandate of the ad hoc committee to the investigations of matters proliferation of religious organizations and the circumstances leading to the deaths of more than 95 people in Shakahola, Kilifi County. This particular motion will be moved by the chairperson of the ad hoc committee on the committee mandated in investigating the incidents at Shakahola in Kilifi County that led to the death of more than 300 people. This particular committee is chaired by Senator Danson Mungatana. And in this particular motion, aware that at the sitting of the Senate held on the Thursday, 27th of April 2023, the Senate by resolution established an ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation of religious organizations and the circumstances leading to the deaths of more than 95 people in Shakahola in Kilifi County. The committee, through its chair, seeks to have the Senate resolve to renew the mandate of the ad hoc committee by a further period not exceeding 30 days of this resolution, and to table its final report in the Senate on or before the 5th of September 2023. Remember, this particular committee has been meeting various state agencies as well as various stakeholders trying to investigate what led to the death of people at Shakahola Forest. Also, this afternoon, the Senate is set to consider a motion on the adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget on the county government's equitable share cash disbursement schedule for the year 2023-2024 and approval of the county government cash disbursement equitable schedule for the financial year 2023-2024. This particular motion is spearheaded by the chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget and seeks to have the Senate approve the county government's equitable share disbursement schedule for the year 2023-2024. Senators will be resuming debate on a couple of bills this afternoon. Given priority in the order paper this afternoon is the Konza Technopolis bill. This is Senate Bills number 2 of the year 2023, a bill by nominated Senator Gloria Oroba. The County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of the year 2023 by Senator Mariam Shakir. And the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of the year 2023, as well as the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 1 of the year 2023 by Senator Wakili Hirali Sigei, and the County Boundaries Bill. This is Senate Bills number 6 of the year 2023 by Senator Moses Kajwang. As some of the bills that senators are set to resume debate on this afternoon. Equally, the Senate will be considering a motion by the Nyeri Senator, Senator Wahome Omatinga, on the repossession of movable assets by lending institutions due to non-performing loans. In this particular motion, the Senator for Nyeri County seeks to have the Senate urge the National Treasury and Economic Planning to come up with policy framework to review the Banking Act in order to renegotiate the repayment terms of loans and provide some sort of cushion for Kenyans with non-performing loans, as well as prevent the loss of their movable assets. The integration of ethnic minorities and marginalized communities in Kenya is another motion before the Senate this afternoon. This particular motion is spearheaded by the Senator for Baringo County, Senator William Cheptumo, who in this particular motion seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Ministry of Ethnic Minorities and Marginalized Communities in Kenya, as envisaged in the 2010 Constitution. The business of the Senate is just about to commence any moment from now. The Senate Speaker Honorable Amason Kingi is the Speaker presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over for the live broadcast of these proceedings.
Favor and blessings. Us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Do we have quorum, clerk? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The Senate Speaker, Honorable Amason Kingi, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. And this particular directive is issued pursuant to standing orders of the Senate on matters quorum that gives the Speaker the powers to give that particular directive if at any given time when the House is sitting, at least 15 senators are not in the chamber. And as we await that particular of June, after laying of that particular report, there will be a notice of the motion. On this particular notice of the motion is on the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand in South Africa. And this particular motion seeks to have the Senate adopt the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament. Nominated Senator Hazina Lemalentian will be making a statement regarding the incessant suppression and clawback of democracy in Kenya. This particular statement is pursuant to Standing Orders number 52, subsection 1.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Honorable Senator Danson Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of my leader of delegation, Senator Danson Munkatana, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 1st August 2023, report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to the 2nd June 2023.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Honorable Senator Danson Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that the Senate adopts the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, PAP, held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to the 2nd June 2023, laid on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 1st August 2023.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 52-1, the Honorable Senator Hezena Lematean. That statement is deferred. Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Honorable Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the status of the rollout of universal coverage, UHC, in the country. In the statement, the committee should state the current status of the UHC rollout in the country, explaining progress made in terms coverage, key achievements, and any challenges encountered in rolling out the program, further stating possible interventions that can be applied to overcome the challenges. Number 2, clarify whether the government has any plans to halt further rollout of the UHC or Terminal Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, to ensure a more comprehensive and accessible healthcare system, and spell out strategies in place to enhance proper governance, transparency, and accountability in the implementation of UHC. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Senator Mohamed Faki.
Serikali kuu ambapo mamia ya watu huzuru serikali kuu ambapo mamia ya watu huzuru kila siku kutafuta huduma za dharura katika ofisi hizo. Pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, iarifu Seneti chanzo cha utepetevu katika usimamizi wa jengo hili, ikizingatiwa kwamba jengo hili lilikabidhiwa serikali kipindi kifupi tu kilichopita. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Next, the Honorable Mwaruma. That statement is dropped. The Honorable Senator Mohamed Chute. That statement is dropped. The Honorable Senator for Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojenda. That statement is dropped. The Senator Ojenda had three statements, in fact, and those statements are dropped. Nominated, the Honorable Senator Beatrice Ogola. That statement is dropped. Statements pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B, the Chairperson Standing Committee on ICT.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to allow me to read the statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee of Information, Communication and Technology for the periods between April and 30th June 2023, pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B of the Senate Standing Orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee of Information, Communication and Technology for the period commencing 31st March 2023 to date. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate Standing Committee of Information, Communication and Technology is established under Standing Orders 228(3) of the Senate Standing Orders, and is mandated to consider all matters relating to technology, engineering and electronic research, information, broadcasting and information, communications and technology development. Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 17 sittings, during which it considered 1 legislative proposal, 2 bills, 6 statements, and 1 inquiry. On legislative proposals, Honorable Speaker, during the period, the committee undertook pre-publication scrutiny on the legislative proposal, the Digital Literacy Bill 2023, which was committed to the committee on 29th May 2023. The committee sought for responses from the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy and the Ministry of Education. On bills, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee considered the following 2 bills. Bill number 1 is the Office of the County Printer Bill 2022, Senate Bill number 10 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Counter Printer Bill 2022, Senate Bills number 10 of 2022